All right, so we have these two main characters. On the left, you have the main leader in Star Trek. I forgot his name. And on the right, you have Professor X from the X-Men. And the similarities between these characters is that they're using out of this world technology, right? And they are both also the leaders of their groups. On the left, the Star Trek character is the leader of his crew, and on the right, Professor X is the leader of his crew, the X-Men. Now, this is something that came to me. I see patterns, I see similarities all the time. Things that it's almost like there's a computer showing me these things, but I'll leave it at that. And who I think these characters are trying to imitate is this gentleman. And everybody pretty much knows who this gentleman is. And he is kind of like been said to be the top of the pyramid, right? The guy who kind of runs things. And I find it very interesting that, in Hollywood's predictive programming and prophetic programming, that we find characters that really look a lot like this gentleman right here. And the characters in the movies that are always kind of running things. So there's just so many patterns in these movies that I see all the time. I just like to share with you guys. And of course, I believe that he's being imitated here with Mr. Burns on The Simpsons. Again, another character who kind of runs the show, right, is at the top. And clearly, this cartoon looks very similar, and they make the certain things very exaggerated, like his nose size and his hair and the shape of his skull, so that you can kind of tell, right, like certain things. And here you go, you have them all lined up, and it's like now you know that they're not just picking random people for these parts. There's an actual agenda behind these movies to kind of mimic real life, as I've shown in so much of predictive programming. I mean, they almost look exactly the same, don't they? Like the Star Trek and the Professor X guy are just a little younger than Mr. Rothschild, but I mean, if he was 15, 20 years younger, they'd look exactly the same. And of course, Mr. Burns. So it just shows you what Hollywood is and the spirit behind it. It's not just these random movies that they're thinking of. It's a mimic of real life to an extent.